Great.
Am I on? All right, good afternoon. I'd like to call the April 9th meeting of the Clean Energy Alliance Community Advisory Committee regular meeting to order. And with that, I would like to ask, Daniel, would you like to lead us to the pledge?
Yes, I'll do that. Ready? Begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. And with that, do we need a roll call?
Member Fisher?
Here.
Member Vaughn?
Here.
Member Hood?
Here.
Member Zuniga?
Good.
Member Davenport?
Here.
Member Key? Chair Shay?
Hey, oh, here. Okay, that's how bad the acoustics are in here. Okay, I am here. All right, thank you. And with that, do we have any public comment?
We don't have any public comment.
Okay. All right, with that, I just want to remind everyone, probably a good case for it. It's very hard to hear in here, so when you're speaking, make sure you speak into the mic. And just for the recording for our communities, state your name and your city when you're at the mic so everybody knows who's talking. So with that, we will move on to agenda item 1, which is the Chief Executive Officer update.
Thank you. Caitlin McGee, Senior Key Accounts Program Manager, here filling in for Greg today. So I'll take you through just a moment. Can we go back, Chair Shay, to public comment, please? Chair Shay, can we go back to public comment, please?
Yes. I asked for public comments. Do we have none? Do we have public comments?
Thank you. We don't
Okay.
have any, we don't have any public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Please stop me if you can't hear me, or I'm speaking to the microphone as well. So our monthly enrollment stats here, things continue to hold steady. We remain at 256,000 active accounts. This also shows we've been tracking the opt-downs that are a result of our rate relief credit. Those have been very minimal to date. I think something like 84 opt-downs in the last month. That's reflected here. So no sizable changes since our last report to you. And continuing our community engagement, things have been busy as usual. We gave a presentation to the San Marcos City Council, California League of Cities, Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce, and then also the North County Climate Change Alliance. Our staff was at a STEM fair at Vista Unified School District back in March. And then we had our sponsorship night at Front Wave Arena, which was great. We had participation from the board at the beginning of the game, and we had 2 booths within the Front Wave Arena. And then this past weekend, we were at the Escondido Earth Day event. And then things ramping up for Earth Month. We'll be at several events throughout our service territory in the month of April. We have the Green Business Expo, part of the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce, Palomar College. We'll be at the Dr. Bronner's Employee Earth Week event, which is always a fun one. Earth Day in Oceanside, Farm Bureau, San Diego County Farm Bureau has their annual event at the Carlsbad Flower Fields, which is Green Up Fields will also be there. Community Alliance for Escondido, the Green Business Recognition Mixer, and then a few others. So Escondido Street Festival in May, and then the Fiesta del Sol in Solana Beach a few months out. And then a few updated numbers since our last meeting on Solar Plus and battery bonus. Again, here things continue to stay steady. We have the Solar Plus Connect and Battery Bonus Connect programs that are both kind of fully subscribed. We're still taking customers on a wait list with the possibility of them being pulled in for that free battery or deeply discounted solar and battery system under Solar Plus. And then continuing to engage folks on the regular Solar Plus and battery bonus programs. And as I mentioned, the Connect programs are basically fully subscribed at this point, but the breakdown of how those dollars are allocated across our member cities is shown in this chart. Things, again, continue to be pretty similar to our last report. And then Peak Smart Savers, we continue to get signups for this program. As y'all are aware, it's a 30% discount on peak and off-peak rates, and then an adder for event days from 4 to 9 p.m. So we've had a few new enrollments here. And again, this chart showing signups across our member cities. And then I just wanted to share a little bit of a recap from our Meet the Team and Meet the Board social media campaign. We worked with Tribeca Smith to create these informational videos. So there's videos about what is CEA, what is a CCA, how does it work, what are the benefits. So our staff partook in those educational videos, and then we also had some kind of fun meet the staff type videos where we talked about our interests and what excites us about our roles here at CEA. So really happy to report. We also had, I believe, 3 board members participate in this campaign, and we had really great engagement on social media. So on Facebook and Instagram, we had 3 times the average video views compared to the average post, and then across platforms, 6 times the average comments and engagement on the social media videos. Any questions?
All right, do you have any questions? All right, seeing none. Was that your report? That's all right, thank you. That was a very good impression. Yeah, correct. You did a great job. Thank you for filling in for this. You're on item number 2. Yes.
They don't have any comments on item 1.
Okay.
All right, I'll continue on a brief update of the energy programs plan. At our last meeting, we had discussed with the group our draft programs plan and received feedback from you all, which is much appreciated. It was incorporated into the final report, and that report was cleaned up with some beautiful graphic design and packaged as a presentation to the board at our March meeting. So the board of directors approved the final programs plan at that meeting on March 26th, and then also formed a subcommittee to continue working with staff on the details of the programs that will be implemented and budget that will be allocated to each of these programs. So we'll continue to bring updates to the CAC as things progress. I'll just also mention, we haven't posted the final program plan on our website yet. We will be doing that soon, but the final plan can be found in the board packet from March 26th. Any questions?
All right, any questions? Seeing none? All right. Now we are at item number 3.
Chair Shane. Apologies. We don't have any comments on item 2 or 3.
Right, thank you. Okay. Am I doing the ad-hoc discussion or is that you? Am I writing this?
Maybe we can have
Item 3? Okay. So item 3, we're reviewing the approved 2026 work plan, and we will be discussing to potentially form ad hoc committees, subcommittees for 2026. So the floor is open. I think everybody has a copy of the work plan and saw it in its draft form. I don't believe there are any significant changes. But would you like to point out if there are any significant changes from what we discussed prior? Okay, so with that, are there any questions about the work plan? All right, and then moving on to the subcommittee formation. And let me just review from 2025. We had 3 subcommittees in 2025, the Community Engagement, Communication, Social Media Feedback Committee, the Local Generation and Storage Potential Committee, and the Multi-Unit and Manufactured Housing Opportunities Committee. So those were our committees for 2025. They are closed, and now we are looking to open any subcommittee, ad hoc subcommittees for 2026. Yes, Tracy.
Thank you. This is Tracy Barnum from Escondido, and I'd like to propose an idea of a subcommittee that would create an orientation that would support new CAC members. I have felt from my own personal experience that there were a lot of things that I've been trying to pick up and learn along the way, and I feel like I could have been much more effective over the last almost year now. Had I had them handed to me from the beginning, and knowing that staff is small, lean, that's something that I feel like I could help with, and it would be very much working with staff and learning from those of you who've been on the CAC for longer than I have, to put together a living document that could be a link to resources such as, I know that Elizabeth did a training on the Brown Act before I started, so that video exists. And a new member could just have a link sending them straight to it. But also just a collection of links to internal and external resources that would really help bring us up to speed. And another aspect of it that I'd like to tack on is also sort of a comment on something that was discussed earlier today. I think that for external events, the community events, I feel like it's a missed opportunity if we are not engaged to come out and be at them, not so much as to fill in gaps where staff is not available, but actually as part of our role. As I understand it, our role is to be that link between CEA and the community. And so it feels to me like we should be out there and that we should be asked to be, not just, and I do appreciate the email that just went out recently, listing all of those events. I would like to propose a framing of, rather than if you'd like to stop by, more of a proactive, we would really like to have you here. And I think that that could be tied into what I'm doing, because I think if we are better oriented, we can better support the staff at those events. And so that could also be like a little bit of training of us being able to really speak at those events and to speak confidently about what CEA is. So that could also be kind of rolled into this subcommittee. So that's the idea I have.
All right, so your proposed name for that, which is, develop orientation for new CAP members committee.
That sounds good, yeah.
Okay, are there any other comments on that one? All right, I think what we'll do is keep it open to the committees and then we'll ask who wants to be on them. So, are there any other ideas for committee work in 2026? Yeah, Joe?
Joe Hood from Vista. I continually read about new technologies that are in or on the edge of the grid. And don't imagine the staff has a chance to keep up with all that. So I'd like to propose a committee that tracks new technologies and reports them on them and the possible uses of them.
Okay. Any comments on that idea? Andrew, very excited today. All right, thank you, Mika.
I am Mika in Solana Beach. I would like to add that, so there are tracking new technology about the data center. So data center is using lots of energy right now, but also the new technologies seem like coming up to try to conserve energy for the data center. So I would like to add that the data center technology to that tracking.
Okay, and that. I didn't catch all of that. Was that to add to the tracking? Okay, you captured that. Okay, good. Anything else? All right, and are there any other committee ideas for 2026? Joe?
We have this wonderful handout about delinquent accounts. I wonder if we could have a committee that explores how do we reduce the delinquent accounts and the losses from that. Seems like the opportunity is pretty large.
Any comments? Can I ask about the handout? Is anyone gonna go over this? Or was this?
We'll
I don't-
cover it under the next item. Updates from committee members.
I cannot hear you, I'm sorry. What
We'll
did
cover
you
it
say?
in the next item.
Okay, thank you.
As a
Okay,
update.
and maybe, one of the questions I had is, getting into delinquent accounts that are tracked with members, I think is staff's job. Are you thinking about ideas to help the community pay or not become delinquent? Give me a little bit more information so we can track what you're saying.
There are many possibilities. I don't need to get into individuals by any means, but are there grants, for example, that help cover some of these losses? What could possibly be done? And I know we last year talked about doing a set of measurements of the heat distribution in cities. And maybe if we picked that up and actually did it, we would find some interesting demographic information that might lead to some insights about, what we could do on a collective basis.
Because I know we have some programs that are still offered through SEGE. Maybe staff can help on that. The CURE program, I'm trying to think of all of them that help with delinquent accounts for people who are back. The heat map is a whole different thing, I think. I think that's trying to understand where we have communities that have very high bills higher than the average? Is that what you're kind of thinking, and how can we support this
Yeah,
community?
that would be one possibility. For example, if you find those neighborhoods, building retrofits can often increase building efficiency enormously and thereby reduce costs. So maybe this would lead to the definition or the need for a building retrofit program that we could search for money for.
Okay.
I'm sure, may I chime in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Since, I put together the document that you're referencing, I tracked the delinquent accounts to see which way they're moving. And right now, the sample is sort of old because it's only 2 years. I started tracking them when I got on the CDA board, last year. So, but they have, been trending up, as you can see, between the different dates from April of last year to February of this year. And so, though we have the board of directors has taken some actions to see if to reduce rates. They reduced the rate for the clean impact program. And now, both SDG&E and the CEA follow suit in, on an advice letter to expand the super off-peak periods during the 24-hour period. I think they explained it at the last meeting, but I was out of town. So, but my whole idea with this is that as the committee, we should be aware of delinquent accounts, and I think I said this before. First, there's the financial impact to the CEA. I think financial impact as of February was $17 million. And then there's the personal impact of people that are struggling to pay their bills. So, from a advisory committee perspective, the whole intent was that. So we're aware of this. We need to keep an eye on it.
We'll just note real quick, the data that was provided, we did identify a calculation error, so we'll provide you with updated figures from your last request. And then I think, this is a critical topic, so us as staff can come back at the June meeting with a bit of a deep dive on our arrearages and outstanding balances.
Just a quick question, the updated figures, are they better or worse?
They're better, they're much better. So
Okay.
our total outstanding balance, I think, has only increased about 300,000 or so. But we'll get you the figures.
And Joe, did you have another comment?
I was just thinking about a program that Marin Clean Energy uses. They got a grant for house refurbishment, home refurbishment, and they use the grant to turn derelict properties into all-electric homes and then sell them to worthy but relatively low-income people at very low interest rates. And as the payments are made, they collect money and to refurbish their account and continue from that one grant to continue to refurbish homes, and this is in the Bay Area, near the oil fields. But, one grant can be, in their cases, recycled many times to the benefit of both the company and the community. And that's the kind of idea that we might be able to come up with, explore the possibilities for.
I'll also add, just a refresher, we are a recipient of the Equitable Building Decarbonization Grant. It was over $300 million allocated to Southern California. We'll actually be bringing on a staff person in-house in about a month or so to help with the outreach for this exact piece. So weatherization, energy efficiency, and working with targeted homeowners and tenants for these type of upgrades. Really exciting.
All right, so
Sounds like a great step.
yeah, I have three committees on the floor right now for, to put forward for subcommittees for 2026. I just want to make sure we have their names right and then get some volunteers. I'm gonna assume that possibly the person that introduced it would be the chair of that committee, but you know, you guys can decide that, but we'll start with that if you change your mind. I have the orientation for CAC members, and I have Tracy Garm on that. Or do we have any other volunteers for that committee? She cannot work alone. She needs help. I'm happy to work on it with you, but I am pretty busy until June, so but you can, I'll put my name down so that I'm on a committee, but I think we could probably get some more from some of our members that are out today.
I can help.
Okay, perfect, thank you. That's the perfect person. Okay, so John Wisher. Okay, and then on the second one, we have new technologies, and I just wanted to track what Mika said, so that it's added in. Were you advocating to make a change to the title of the committee? Or, okay. So new technologies, and I had Joe, you introduced that. Would you want to serve on that committee?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then Mika, and, okay, perfect, all right. All three of you, Roger, Joe, and Mika, and then the third committee, I think we need to be sensitive about what we call this committee. I think there were a lot of ideas, but I think the overarching idea is to assist and support members. Yeah, I need help with the language, but I like the idea that there's a lot of recommendations we could make to the board or work with the board and possibly get some more information on how we can help on the outward of those grants that are coming in so that they can be used and we know how to link them up to our communities. So does anyone, Daniel, do you have a possible name for your committee?
It's my committee.
You must have struggled with me.
I can't think of what off the top of my head, but
I would suggest it's focused on communication, right? The communication and outreach strategy for rate relief for cost relief.
That sounds good. You like that? Sounds pretty good.
Strategies for it.
Okay.
yeah, that works. Though, one of the things to, to do that, and sometimes careful what you ask for. So if I'm gonna, be on this committee, one of the things probably I would request is a breakdown on a per city basis on the clinical accounts, because I think the representatives from each city, would be helpful to see where their city stands, and also it would allow for more focused communication of programs to these individuals. Because it does strike me, there are a lot of programs, CARE, FARA, medical baseline, there's payment plans too. But I think in the last report I saw, I was a little surprised that not a very small percentage took advantage of some of those payment plans, and I'm not sure why that was the case.
Chair Shade, I just want to note that for the first two committees, it kind of falls under the umbrella of 2027 work plan suggestions, where I'm envisioning the subcommittees would report back and send that to the board. It doesn't seem like they would require really any staff time. But if we're looking at, some of the things that have just been brought up, that especially the request for staff time. If it's not on the 2026 work plan, we really need to be careful about doing that without board permission. So just something to think about.
Can you provide some clarity, because you've also stumped me, so what you're saying is that on our subcommittee, if we engage with staff, it has to be approved by the board?
So typically, the work plan is established, and that's the board telling the committee what they want you to do for 2026. I've heard a lot of great ideas about things maybe to suggest to the board for 2027, but I'm having a hard time tying it into the approved work plan. So that's not to say you can't do it, but I would just be mindful about staff resources that haven't been included in the 2026 work plan.
Okay, I guess, if anybody else has other comments, it's fine. So for clarity, we've always established subcommittees that are of interest to this body. And we report to the board at the end of that work plan, the subcommittee report, that it is in the purview of the board to take those recommendations and put them into either, their service, or if it's something they want to work on. But I don't think we are, except for some data points, which I think if you're serving on a subcommittee, you would want some data points to be able to help understand what each city looks like in terms of the amount of members that are struggling financially or are having trouble, or would benefit from some of these grants coming in. I guess I'm just confused, and I would love to hear from staff exactly what you want us to do in terms of our attorney's recommendation, because I feel like part of our role is to have information that we can work as a subcommittee so that we can make recommendations to the board. If we aren't able to interact with some staff time in some of those areas, I'm not sure that, I think we just be working out here and not really engaged in the CEA. So I would love to hear, just for clarity, maybe I'm just misunderstanding, that's also a possibility.
Yeah, historically, staff has been pretty hands-off with the subcommittees. We've maybe had 1 to 2 meetings with each subcommittee to just take in the recommendations and help kind of guide or get some resources for the direction. So I think when it comes to this rate relief type subcommittee, staff could at least do 1 or 2 meetings and provide a foundational data set within our confidentiality.
Okay, so I think I have
cleared. So Daniel, getting back to your request, what are you actually requesting? And we need to move that up the chain to see if we can get that report, right?
If we look at the document that I handed out, that's all the cities together in the CEA. But what would make things easier would be a request a breakdown of each city's delinquent accounts or people in arrears, accounts in arrears for each city, a further breakdown of the information. Now, if the information is overly administratively burdensome or crosses into confidential information, we could do without, we could put together something that I think could be more efficient, where we want to focus our attention on the programs to help people that are struggling.
I think that's a reasonable request.
I don't think they're asking to work with staff. I think they just are requesting. I'm speaking for you, so you can correct me. I think they're just asking for a sort of a baseline report so that as they start to make, work and make recommendations on how many families, I don't know. Would that work if it was a report? Yeah,
We could, the breakdown by city, I think would be helpful. If you think additional, as I said before, I come out of the nuclear field, information, I'm just a addict for information, can't give me enough information. And so, but I could start off with, the breakdown of the cities. I think most of the members on this committee would like to know, where their city stands with respect to, accounts and arrears. So to answer your question is, we can start off with the city, or probably end there, just give me a breakdown of the cities. But before I speak for the committee, right now the committee is a membership of one. And so
You.
we need, if we could ask maybe somebody else wants to join, that would be good.
Yeah, I just want to be clear before we form the committee that they're going to be able to, so I think, if this is something you need to go back to and make sure that that would be okay, fine. I just think, they are requesting a data report, and that if it is sensitive information or, it can't be released, whatever, just come back and let us know. That would be great. But we have one person on the committee right now. There is other work, right? We talked about, helping, with ways that certain communities could have better access to some of these grant programs, how we could get that information out. So there is still other work on that committee. Who would like to serve on that committee with Daniel as chair? Okay, I have Joe and Tracy. Okay, all right. So that, I believe, is there any other subcommittees that would? Yes.
Actually, I was going back to the questions about the actual subcommittees, and in reading the work plan, I know the end of last year, we were asked to come up with like 3 suggestions, which is, I think, where you're coming from. And I remember the hydrogen was one of the things I was talking about because of dealing with North County Transit District and things I know that are coming to investigate that. I see in July, the DER technologies and integration is potentially one of the pieces. And I see September where you're back to social media and the long-term power procurement. Are those subcommittees that you were actually thinking we were going to be putting together?
So the board, the 2026 work plan is that this is what we would like the committee to work on. That doesn't mean, you can't. There's a lot of great suggestions that you have, but the 2026, that's the focus for 2026. So typically.
So what exactly are we supposed to be working on? Which, you have a list, right? Because I see different presentations here, and I can't differentiate between the subcommittee investigating something and giving a report towards the end of the year and what we're getting here. I'm just trying to get that clarified. Do you have a list of them?
So, for example, the hydrogen vehicle fueling stations, if the committee wanted to form a subcommittee to provide feedback to the board about that item, rather than just hearing a staff report on it, you could do that. Same thing with social media and marketing efforts. If you would like to form a subcommittee for your ideas on that topic to be provided to the board rather than just hearing staff's ideas, you could do that. It's up to you how you want to organize or what you want to work on.
So, okay, now I'm confused again. We are forming subcommittees for it says right there, discussion of ad hoc CAC subcommittee formations for the 2026 work plan items. Am I reading that incorrectly? Okay. And then, so are we, you were talking about work for 2027, which is what I believe our subcommittee work would go through the year, make their subcommittee report to the board, and then it would come back next year on here as something that would be a presentation or an idea or something like that. So I think there's some confusion. I'm speaking for you guys, but I think there's some confusion. Normally, we had formed subcommittees that were not on this list. Like we had a schools committee, we had a social media, we had the committee you just referred to, the social media, and out of that came the idea there would be an annual report in September that would show the efforts made in social media and website updates. So that came out of our committee, and it's listed on here. So it came out of the 25 committee, and now it's listed on our work plan. So I guess I'm confused. Are we forming committees for the 2027 work? Or are we picking from what's on here? Because that would be a deviation from what we've done in the past. I just need clarity.
It's up to the committee what you want to do in that respect. You could do all of it, you could do some of it. There's only a limited number of you. So you have your 2026 work plan includes suggestions for 2027. So I think maybe that's where the confusion has come in.
Okay, so getting back to John on the hydrogen. Were you thinking of doing hydrogen vehicle fueling stations as a committee? That was your idea was?
Well, what it was is, North County Transit District and Caltrans have an agreement. Caltrans is bringing down a couple of hydrogen-powered trains starting in 2027. North County Transit District already has some hydrogen-powered vehicles, and they've had to come up with their own fueling station. And the problem they foresee is expanding and having access to the hydrogen and more fueling stations across the county if they want to have more trains in the future and expand. So the idea was to look into it. And I know it's something like what Joe's saying about new energy and changes, because I actually get stuff on it all the time of different types of hydrogen that I keep looking at. So it would essentially fall under what that subcommittee is already doing, is researching these technologies. But that's where I was coming from, and then looking for the future is if hydrogen actually became a player, then how would we bring it through the county? What would we do? What do we need to do? And we're the suppliers for it.
I think I understand. So you're okay with it falling under new technologies and the committee we just talked about? I just want some clarity from staff because it's my understanding that we're going to get a presentation on hydrogen vehicle fueling stations in June. Am I correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, so I think we have our committees. I saw Tracy wanted to say something, and John, you could be, are you on that new technologies? I know for that. You might want to.
Not yet.
Okay, do you want to? I can.
Yeah, I'll join.
Okay.
Can I join that committee or is it?
Yes.
Committee? Yes.
Yes, okay. Yeah, quorum, which is very good. Okay, and Tracy, go ahead, sorry.
Thank you. So this is definitely gonna fall in the orientation.
You got that
Orienting Tracy. I'm still confused about the 26 and 27. So the orientation committee that I've suggested, it sounds like that's being proposed for 27. Does that mean I'm not actually doing that until next year?
No,
When I might not even be here.
We're forming committees today. You can launch your committee tomorrow and have your first meeting, but you are working toward the November date where you will be making recommendations to the board. And so curriculum, ideas, whatever it is, your committee will make that recommendation in November. And then at that point, it's off of us, and it would either be implemented by staff or San Diego Regional, energy, and somebody would take on that work if that's something that the board wants to move forward, right? You would make the recommendation to the board.
That makes sense. Are we talking about calendar years here or fiscal years? Maybe that's part of my confusion. Because we're saying 27. And I'm seeing myself doing that work in 26.
You are doing the work in 26, the recommendation is at the end of 26. And the board will move it forward into action, approval, whatever, in 2027. Is that right? We're missing December, but yeah. Right, because our board presentations are in November. But any ad hoc committee will make a presentation to the board, or at least file a report to the board. And that will happen in November.
Thank you.
Is that clear as mud? Yep. Okay. All right, I'm gonna ask Alan, did you get what you need for the 3 committees? I'll read it out now. I have the orientation for CAC members. I have Tracy, Deborah Shade, and John Mosier. New technologies. I have Joe Rode, Roger Davenport, John Mosier, and Ann. Okay. Mika. Okay, that's a good committee. We got the brain trust on that one. Okay, and then the last one was, and I didn't get the name of the last one.
I could be there too. Strategies for
Outreach strategies for outstanding balances.
Strategies for struggling customers.
Yeah, we'll let them convene and work on that title. Okay, because you want it to be, it needs to be very fair and respectful of our members. So that committee is Daniel, Joe, and Tracy. Did I miss anybody? Okay. All right, so we will move on. I don't see any public comment on that item. We will move on to committee member announcements. Right? Yeah, okay, we'll start with John.
Okay, I just want to mention that, Deborah, Tiffany, and I were part of the San Diego Regional Energy Academy for this year. Very informative. And we were talking before the meeting about how we share that information with all our committee members, and other staff that are interested. The knowledge was very good and it definitely is something that is helpful to all of us. I'm also looking at with Tracy, this would be something that we could tie into the new member orientation, is that some of that training information.
This is Tracy again. Just happy to say that I was at the Escondido Earth Day event, and it was fun to be out there and to practice a couple of times talking with people, and also listening in on the Spanish conversation as I am attempting to learn Spanish. So it was good to be out there in the community, and look forward to doing more of that.
I'm not quite sure what to say. Rob came to our North County Climate Change Alliance launching Earth Month event. And that was a wonderful event, and Rob was brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say the same thing, Tracy, that I participated in the Escondido Earth Day. It was a very interesting event. And also, earlier in the month, Rob and I participated in a meeting of seniors explaining the rate relief programs that CEA had.
Thank you, and I'm gonna skip the come back.
Nothing to report.
Yeah, nothing really to report. I will miss our next meeting. I'll be on
country.
No report.
Right, and I'm gonna finish up, just thank the Alliance, Clean Energy Alliance, for supporting the San Diego Regional Energy Academy. It was fantastic. I know you very well now, I know you really well now. It was a really wonderful experience, and hopefully more of us will have opportunity in the future. I think that's gonna be something we're gonna be talking about, is how that, work that they're doing can support onboarding new, community advisory members, both for us and for San Diego Power. Because even just getting the list of acronyms, you know, just like this, was really powerful, and I've been on this committee for probably, I don't know, 4 years now, and I didn't have that before, so I think there's a lot, and I really appreciate Tracy for reaching out and putting that on our agenda for this year, so thank you very much for that. And I wanted to echo before we finish Tracy's comments earlier about CAC participation in our community events. I know that staff makes an effort to get those out, and maybe we need to do a better way of, not just at this meeting, but as they come available. And certainly, we are the connection to our committee, our communities. So especially if those events are in your city, try to attend, because you want to be that face that they know that they can, come to, and know that they have representation on this committee. So with that, it is 1:54, and we will adjourn just before we adjourn, our next meeting is June 11, at, I believe, same time, 1 o'clock, all right? Okay, so with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.
I need to.